So these are my GR4 throttles, although they're actually representing a GR1 in my cockpit. I believe that they were exactly the same. So these are replacing the F3 ones that I previously had. And just a little bit of information about the aircraft that they were fitted to. The last aircraft they were removed from. They have probably been fitted to several aircraft at one point, but they're from Tornado GR1, and the build number of it was BS050, and its first flight was on the 22nd of June 1982. Another bit of information about it was in 2012 its tail was painted up in a special colour scheme to commemorate Group Captain Don Finlay, who was a group captain in the Second World War flying Spitfires, and before that he was a successful Olympian. He must have actually, been quite a special person to get a tail painted up specifically. So yeah, that's about. Oh, and also that aircraft served in Operation Telic, where it was named It's Showtime. So the controls themselves pretty much identical to the F3 ones that I previously had on. The only difference being is what was a selector switch here, which moved side and that side and pressed in. Now it's just a single button, which I believe was a radio transmit button. Still got the pyramid switch here, which was for air brakes and manoeuvring flaps, or manoeuvring slats or whatever. I don't know what the proper name for them was, but so that's what they did. And on this side it's just completely blank, whereas on the F3 it had a little silver switch on there for deploying chaff and flares. But that is the only difference. These throttles are actually slightly better than the F3 ones in the fact that the controls move a lot more smoothly. There's a little bit more paint wear on them, but I'm not too bothered by that because that just shows that it's seen some action. Other than that, like I said, they move a lot more freely. And I've finally figured out about the flaps lever, because on the F3 I thought it was jammed, and then when these came, the flaps lever was in the down position, and that meant that I couldn't move the wing sweep lever, so I had to figure out how to get the flaps lever to move, and I thought it was locked in place, and then I noticed that there was a slight bit of play to one side, only very slightly, and I moved it and was able to move the flap lever to the up position. So I thought that was how it was done, but now I've actually discovered the reason why it wasn't moving was not because of having to move it in. It's to do with this has to be very precisely in the right place, because it actually comes to rest past those markings and it will not move like that. It has to be perfectly lined up with that there, and then the flaps levers will move like so, right down into the down position, and in order to push it back up into the up position you have to push it forward and then down a little bit and then forward like that. So I'm glad that actually works. What's the other controls on there? Oh, well, we've got these buttons here which are engine relight. That one's a little bit stiff. That one presses in, and it's the same on the back as well, same controls. So there's the wing sweep lever. And there's the throttles there. I don't know whether you have to, you're supposed to push that forward to release it, but they will go forward if you push them hard enough. But that stops them from accidentally going back into idle, because you wouldn't want that to happen in flight, obviously. Well, no, sorry, that's in idle, and then that is shut down. You wouldn't want your engines to shut down. And also, this is quite difficult to do holding the camera, because I have to support the throttle box, because it's perched on another box. So in order to do this, I have to try and rest my camera slightly, and then I can rock them that way, which is now in reverse thrust. I think that's reverse thrust, and that is what's called lift dump. So they will only go up to the max dry position when they're rocked out like that. And this is the taxi nozzle. So when that's open like that, that fully opens the exhaust nozzle at the back, to able to make it so that it can taxi at a slower speed, because apparently the brakes were not very good on the Tornado. So the taxi, and I noticed actually, once when the taxi nozzle is up, it restricts the movement of the throttles. They will only move to that point there. So release that, and then they can go fully forward. And there, they do go into the full range up to combat, but there's a slight restriction because of what I've got it rested on. It's blocking the lever from being able to move to the fully forward. So I think that pretty much demonstrates all of the features on the throttle. So I hope that was interesting. And there's just a little view there of the main panel and the side console there.